Are you Christian, are you?
No, I'll just say I'm an ex-Muslim. So
You're an
when I get
ex-Muslim,
yeah.
yeah? So why
So when I
bringing the
get
Bible? Why are you bringing the Bible?
because I believe in the Bible and not the Quran.
So you're not a Christian, but you believe in the Bible.
You're in a bit of limbo, actually, aren't you? Really?
Well, I feel like the whole world is in a limbo. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
You're an ex-Muslim, right?
yeah.
Could you recite Fatiha for me, please?
Fatiha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What's your position? Are you Christian, are you?
no, I'll just say I'm an ex-Muslim. So
You're an
when I get
ex-Muslim,
yeah.
Okay. So why
So when I
bringing the
get
Bible? Why are you bringing the Bible?
because I believe in the Bible and not the Quran.
So you're not a Christian, but you believe in the Bible.
No, I don't believe Jesus is God.
Yeah, but you believe in the Bible, right?
Yeah, the Old Testament.
Why do you believe in
Maybe.
the Old Testament?
Because I think all the Jewish prophets were real, and
How do you know that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just here for Isaiah 42. I mean,
Yeah, but what the problem is that we're trying to understand you because we want to have a meaningful conversation. So first, you've made this claim about being a non-Muslim, an ex-Muslim. For me, when I see Muslims people who claim to have been Muslims, head towards the Bible, red flags go off for me. But that's fine. That's what you're saying. The problem here is that you're claiming that you're not a Christian, but you believe in the Old Testament.
well, I would claim Jewish, but I feel like Jewish, like for you to be Jewish, you have to be like bloodline, right? Something like that.
It's an ethnic identity, yeah.
Yeah.
So you couldn't be a Jew unless you, and in fact you couldn't be a Jew. You could marry a woman who is Jewish, and then your children might be Jewish, but you wouldn't be Jewish.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like you're a bit. You're in a bit of limbo, actually, aren't you? Really?
Well, I feel like the whole world is in a limbo. I mean, I feel like Muslims believe what they believe, Christians believe what they believe, but I feel like no one really knows if they're right.
Why do you believe that? Because you're making claims about other people's positions. Or the only thing that you can say to me reasonably is that what you believe, that you've arrived at a position of uncertainty somehow.
Mm.
That's all you can say. You can't project that out into the minds of the world. I can understand for you the feelings might be that the world seems to be mixed up because you don't know where you are. You feel like you're in a bit of limbo. But making that a general, I think if you look around the world, the vast majority of the people are clearly know where they are. Where is the issues? Where are the issues? They're mainly in the West with postmodernism, where what you feel personally is truth, and that's the problem because you can believe anything and that could be true, and that's and without verification, without any sort of way of having any truth value assigned to something in an objective way. It's a recipe for disaster, and that's where the West find themselves. You sound Western educated, and that's probably part of the reasons why you're in this situation. But then again, you're saying that you believe in the Old Testament and the prophets of the Old Testament, probably one of the least evidenced and furthest from its original source text that you could get in all religious scriptures.
Well, I mean, the reason why I said I feel like everyone is lost is because heaven and hell doesn't really exist in Judaism.
Yeah, and what?
So I feel like these Christians who claim, to get everlasting life for saying one sentence, saying Jesus rose from the grave, is really like, it's kind of like a joke.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, but that's the thing. We're not disagreeing, because what you've done is you're not a Christian, but you've come on to sort of talk about Christians' evidence for their position, and you say you believe in the Old Testament, and actually that's strange because that's maybe you're trying to take a Jewish position. But then that's the question you should be asking is, okay, how do you reconcile what the Jews believe about this? And then we can have that discussion. But it seems like that you don't know where you are.
No, I know where I am. I believe all the prophets in the Old Testament were given divine inspiration, some more than others, and I feel like Jesus. Huh?
Why do you?
Well, because I feel like for Isaiah 53, I feel like it prophesizes Jesus' death and so accurately. So I feel like.
So you believe in the death of Jesus?
Yeah, the crucifixion.
You believe in and does it have any significance that for you?
No, because in Isaiah 53 it says, you know, I think he will divide the spoil with the strong. He will divide the spoil with the strong. And how I understand that is, since all Jesus' disciples were martyred, that's
They
how.
weren't. That's not true.
Well, I think most of them besides John.
What you're saying is that, because what you're doing is you're taking the Christian position whilst claiming to be a Jew who believes in the Old Testament. So the people that believe in the Old Testament, the Jews, they don't regard Isaiah 53 to be anything to do with Jesus, peace be upon him.
Well, I didn't say I was Jewish. I just said.
No, I didn't say that you were Jewish either. I said you're taking the Jewish position in that you believe in the Old Testament and the Old Testament.
Yeah, but I also take the Christian position because I believe Jesus was a prophet, but I don't believe he was God himself. So I'm not picking up.
How can he be both Jewish and Christian? How can he be believing in both Judaism and Christianity when they often contradict one another on fundamental doctrinal things?
Well, I mean, because Jewish people, I think some of them don't believe Jesus was a prophet. You know, some of them just believe he was, you know, like an antichrist or something.
As an archetype, they don't believe it. They reject Jesus, peace be upon him. They reject him.
Yeah.
So that means so anyone who would be, so there are sort of ways of tricking people by saying, yes, I'm a Messianic Jew. What that means is actually I'm a Christian from a Jewish background. Yeah. And they believe in Jesus, but actually Jews as a whole, they reject Jesus, peace be upon him, completely.
Yeah. So can I talk about Isaiah 42 or no?
You can, but the whole point is we're trying to understand you because you made loads of claims and they don't really follow, if I'm honest with you. So you said you're an ex-Muslim. You know,
yes.
What made you leave Islam?
Well, a lot of, things, but I would say the main one is, where the Dhul-Qarnayn wall is. It doesn't exist anywhere on Earth.
You're joking, right?
No.
So I just want to understand. So the reason you left Islam is because
there's a lot of reasons, but like the most.
So yeah. I want the most. This is the thing that did it for you, right?
Maybe, and like how people call Muhammad the ear, and they say a lot of the stories in the Quran are like, fable stories. Huh?
They call him the what, sorry?
The ear.
The what?
The ear.
What's the ear? I don't understand.
That's what it says in the Quran. It says they call him the ear, Muhammad the ear. That means he likes to listen to stories and stuff.
Where does it say that?
Let me pull it up.
You're an ex-Muslim, right?
Yeah.
Could you recite Fatiha for me, please?
Fatiha?
Yeah.
I can, but I feel like if I do, it's like I'm a slave or something.
No, why would you be a slave for reciting something in a text, reading it?
And I don't believe in Allah either, so I feel like it would be a sin.
You believe what would be a sin?
To say Fatiha, because doesn't it praise Allah or something?
What is the Fatiha? First, tell me that.
The first surah.
Yeah. So why can't you recite it?
Because I feel like it praises Allah. It says, doesn't it say He's merciful and compassionate and stuff like that?
Can you read it or not?
Yeah, I can say it in Arabic, but I don't want to because I feel like it's a sin.
I don't believe you. No, if I'm honest with you.
You don't believe me?
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. Do you want to pull up the verse about Muhammad being the ear?
I want you to. So I don't believe that you're an ex-Muslim, but I believe you're lying to me. I'll be pretty straight. Yeah, I do believe that.
So if I say Fatiha, that means I'm an ex-Muslim.
No, it means that you're providing me with more evidence.
I don't do salat. I don't do that.
You don't do what, sorry?
I don't pray my 5 daily prayers anymore. I don't do any of that.
Yeah, that's what an ex-Muslim would be like. They wouldn't be doing that.
So you don't believe I'm an ex-Muslim then?
No, I don't believe it. I think you're because everything that you've said has been inconsistent. Everything that you've said has been inconsistent. Do you understand? And now you made this. Sometimes we're trying to understand you, but the point here is that everything that you're saying is not making sense. You're now essentially arguing for Christianity whilst at the same time claiming not to be a Christian. So I think you're a Christian who's pretending, really. That's what you come across like. You claim to follow the Jewish position, but you're arguing for the Christian position.
So it's
and
Quran
you're arguing against the understanding of the Jews of all of these verses that you've put forward. None of this makes sense.